All right, welcome Teller community to the Teller Core Chat, March 10th, 2020. Quick updates, the inflation upgrade, that's kind of the big news that happened last week. Really just was taking up a whole lot of our kind of dev focus, and it went successfully. So if you look, went down 4.99 something and is continuing to go down. It'll go down a little bit faster here at the beginning, and it's going to sort of peter out over the next year, and it'll stop whenever we hit a reward of 1 tribute per miner per block, which should happen theoretically probably end of February next year. So it's all working well. Thanks for everyone's support. Yeah, if you guys have any questions on it, let us know. We did post a Medium article. There's the updated inflation chart in that article that you guys had requested last week.
Yep. So if anybody has any questions about it, that's a good thing to send to them, because it's just an abbreviated description of what we did. So yeah, we were really excited. You could tell from that photo on Friday. There was a lot of testing that went into it over the week, and I guess you get nervous anytime you push to mainnet. But
yeah, I mean, we pushed to Rinkeby and everything, but the fear is always like, the block reward drops to 0 instantly or something. Like Ethereum, it's just always just a different game going on mainnet. So
yeah,
but it
just hit that moment of hitting.
Yes, it went smoothly. But yeah, as far as what we'll be working on now, so kind of the dev focus, we're doing, I think I'd mentioned last week, we're doing some upgrades to the miner, we're doing some upgrades to Teller Scan, but for me personally, and Brenda as well, we'll be doing a lot more development on the alternate chain structure. So we can get going on some other chains. That way we can sort of serve customers over there as soon as they pop up. And then also we'll be working on the V2, which is super exciting for you guys. So probably end of month, we'll have like a sort of proposed V2 adjustments with a whole lot of just kind of specs about what we're going to be doing. So kind of the timeline on the V2 from my perspective is we have all the specs in place by the end of this month. Take kind of your suggestions and other additions. We've been getting feedback from customers on what they would want to see. And then over April and May, we kind of start implementing it into the code, start testing it. And then we'd want to do another audit in June. And then maybe July is just testnet for it. And then we would push, say, August 1st. So it would be like a, year 1, Teller V1, year 2, Teller V2. But it should look a whole lot nicer for a lot of you guys. And then there's a lot of cool things we'll be doing with the miner over the next few months as well. So stay tuned, and if you want to help build on it, let us know. Other things, I know a lot of you, we had talked about it last week, tellor.fund. It's still up on Rinkeby. We will be pushing that this week to mainnet. So the big thing we're actually waiting for now is proposals. So we feel comfortable to push it to mainnet, which we will do. There's just actually not a whole lot of incentive to push it towards mainnet right now because we don't know what we're going to fund. So if you guys, it is a community-driven thing. So if you have anything you want to fund, whether it's an AMA that costs money, whether it's a video that costs money, getting on a podcast, getting on an exchange, anything that costs money that you guys want to see funded that we don't necessarily see that we haven't done yet, this is a good place for it. So
yeah, just shoot me any of your ideas directly, and then we could sort of discuss it. We did get one today that is a solid idea.
Sure.
From
is that Joey or Paul?
No, it was from, oh my gosh.
Dark Viper.
Dark Viper, yes.
Dark Viper.
Dark Viper, whatever your real name is, but Dark Viper works. He's proposing that the community crowdfunds the membership for the Ethereum Enterprise Alliance. So I think he's going to post maybe a poll or something to see if you guys are interested in that. I mean, should we share our thoughts on it? You know,
Yeah, so enterprise clients aren't really
in our wheelhouse.
sure. So we're sort of focused on being the ultimate decentralized solution. Enterprise clients kind of by definition are centralized. That's not to say that their needs may not change in the future and that they want something that is more decentralized because they feel like their customers think that that adds value in some way, and hopefully it can be.
So if we became a member, they would give us access to maybe there's a working group or some sort of research group that comes up that might have an opportunity for us to lend sort of our thoughts and opinions in the Oracle realm. That doesn't currently exist there, but it could at some point pop up.
Yeah, and it could, so if any of you guys saw Joe Lubin talking over the last month, kind of consensus, they're starting to, they had stated that their goal is actually to shift enterprise clients from consensus over to mainnet, which is really exciting stuff. Hopefully they can do some of that and they actually start getting enterprise clients to build things that make sense to be on blockchains. That's kind of the big piece is putting these things because it's usually tough for an enterprise to give up control to a decentralized network. Because if you're running, say, anything on Ethereum, you're relying on this sort of outside party, this outside software that you have no control over. Where if you just have it all kind of in a centralized database, you are completely in control, and they like that. So it's sort of a mentality shift to put things on mainnet, and hopefully we do start seeing it.
Yeah, but you can see why enterprises aren't our target market right now.
Sure.
So
yeah, and last thing for me, go check out the bounties. If you guys are developers, if you guys are content creators, you want to do that, come help us code. We're trying to fund you guys.
Take our tributes.
Yes, we want people to help us develop these things. We want people to build things that we haven't even conceived of yet. So let us know if you want to build something on Tellor.
Just a couple things. We have an AMA on Friday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern with who.com, the exchange, Asia-based exchange that listed us recently. So yeah, please.
What is it? Oh, it's on WeChat, right?
Is this one? Yes, this one's on WeChat.
Okay.
So I'll send you guys more information to them.
If you guys speak Chinese and want to join in WeChat,
there are some of you.
Let us know
for sure. Yeah, I would also like to hear you guys' thoughts on an exchange called Bicky. They might offer us a free listing if the community is interested in it. It would require some sort of deposit campaign. Basically, if enough of our community members send contributes to if enough of our community deposit tributes on their exchange, then they'll list us for free. And there's some threshold for that, but I don't think there is any minimum to how many tributes that is. Something that, again, is up to you guys whether or not that is of interest. And they're a Chinese-based exchange. So let me know what you guys feel about that exchange and if that's something that would interest you before, I start or have them come into the channel and make any sort of announcements. And that's it for exchanges. Let's just hop into the questions.
Yeah, so that's kind of it. Little quick updates for us. But
yep, I think next week will be the third Tuesday of the month, and so that core chat call will be the same time, but it won't be a core chat call. It'll be a tech call. So it'll be,
yeah, it might be a good time to, yeah, I'll let you guys know the topic. Maybe we'll do maybe we can do either just a normal Tellor deep dive into some of the tech stuff and some of the, since we haven't done one in a while, we can just talk about some of the Tellor pieces and maybe some of the pieces where we can upgrade later.
Yep. Okay, so let's just jump into the questions. Number one is, what is ADO? Who are the members? What is the purpose? It's the Alliance of Decentralized Oracles. It's harder to find actually the members of the auto. We have
it's a Telegram group, guys.
Yeah.
It's not. This is not something that people pay to be in. This is not some official organization. We try and get every single party we can in there, just so that way we can
contribute to the EIP that we
contribute
proposed.
to the EIP. People can talk. Some of the people in the group are customers. Some are other oracles. We want everyone talking about it. The more that we actually just discuss these things, discuss how oracles should be used, how we can just create the best user experience for all customers of oracles. That's the goal of the auto. It's supposed to be sort of this place where we can all get to collaborate and in more of a friendly space without.
It's open. It's open. Whoever wants to collaborate more collaborates more, and we've seen that.
Yeah, and so later this month, though, we'll be doing a public call. That's currently the plan at the end of the month. So we'll let you know more details when we get them. I think we're currently trying to set that up since Oracle members are all around the world. So it's really hard to find times that work for everyone. But we'll be doing a public call, and then you guys can ask questions. Hopefully we'll get the EIP knocked out. So.
And you'll be able to see then, a little bit more about it. I'm gonna skip this question because we've been asked it a bunch. If the token switches entirely from proof of work to proof of stake, will the TRB collateral stay the same?
Yes. Or I don't know, maybe the collateral amount. I think that might be the question. Yeah. And you'd still want to use TRB, but I think the collateral amount you can obviously change. I think we've always said that, like, you always want it to be sort of a variable amount. It is fixed, but at the same time, like, if the token price, if it costs $10 million to stake, like, let's say, God willing, 1,000, it goes way high. But that would actually be sort of an exorbitant cost to become a staker. So we would want to lower that. It's this thing where you want it to be high enough that it disincentivizes people from attacking it, but you want it to be low enough that people aren't afraid or can't afford to come and be validators. You don't want 1 to 2 validators. You want a whole lot. So it's always that thing, like, if you lower it, yes, you can get more, but it's a really hard question. Is it better to have 20 stakers that each are staking $100,000, or is it better to have 200 stakers that are each staking $1,000? I don't know.
And when the time comes for that discussion, we'll have these big governance calls, and there'll be a bunch of people in the community arguing about this sort of thing. It'll be great. One thing I like about Tellor is that the team leverages proven building blocks in the product, proof of work, ERC20 token. Instead of reinventing the wheel, do you think this is a fair assessment?
Yes.
I mean, I think this was our assessment as well, and this is why it's exactly why we chose to iterate on the Oracle problem in the way that we did it, with proven methods that we could get to launch in 6 months. We wanted to build something we wouldn't be in research mode for 2 years about.
Yeah, because even if you're in, there's a lot of projects that were in research mode for a long time, and whenever they try, or if there's still pieces that are in research mode, or they're like the first protocol to do X or something like this, you don't know if it's secure. You don't know kind of the downfalls of it. So trying to use things and simple principles, that's been kind of our philosophy, and we think it's just going to be the way to go in the future. Hopefully those research teams can stay out there and provide us with new building blocks in a few years.
Exactly. Any news on the BIDAO chain integration? No updates on that front. BIDAO's still hard at work. I would keep in touch with, follow BIDAO on Twitter and in their channel.
And they're building on Binance chain.
Yes, they are.
So if you guys know, Binance chain is yet to have smart contracts. They're supposed to be opening up soon.
Yes.
A lot of people are waiting on it. So whenever that is opened up, I'm guessing BIDAO will move quickly. So.
Last call, you said there were rumors regarding mining pools. Was it pertaining to this? BTC.com CEO revealed, we have already supported Grin, Beam, CKB, and the basic choices are the recent new currencies. TRB will launch soon. I did not see this.
Yeah, no, I don't know.
I don't know.
I just know that there's some pools that are starting to develop Tellor. So hopefully they come on board soon. I do not actually know any timelines for any of them. So
yeah, no, I don't know. I should have pre-read that question. That was trash. Nick, can you tell us more about your Bitcoin mining days?
Not much to say. Yeah, so in early, I think it was like early 2000, end of 2010, early 2011. It was like CPU miners you could just download and run, and it got you this magic internet money that I thought was garbage. But it was cool because you could you also got introduced to buying things online later in 2011, 2012. I obviously couldn't mine then. Yeah, but it was super cool. Back then it was just you ran a simple CPU thing and you could see the sats go up with time, and it was cool.
Nope, I missed that.
But yeah, it was much smaller then, and it was all just libertarian, which was fun. So it was the whole community was this fervent anarchist community. So
that's why you were there.
Yes.
Totally. Okay. Has growing a community been easier or harder than you anticipated? I mean, I think at first it was harder than anticipated, and then it's become easier as momentum has built and this sort of grows, on its own. And so now it's
yeah, you guys are great. You guys do a lot of work for us for free now. You guys are out there on Twitter or out there kind of managing the Telegrams kind of on your own. It's always the hardest thing is getting I think what they say is the first 1,000 people are always the hardest to get. Exactly. It's just, once you break, 100 people, 1,000 people, it gets more just sort of self-perpetuating as the time goes on.
We were so excited when we had 1,000 Twitter followers and 1,000 Telegram followers, and then the second 1,000. Yeah, we're pretty much at 2,000, and we hit 2,000 on Twitter, and that came in a blink of an eye.
Yeah, so it just continues to roll, and that's something that's really cool to see.
But there's a management aspect now that there's more of you, and you guys are more involved. It's really great, but there's a lot of stuff to address. A lot of people reaching out to us. Yeah. Asking questions, sharing opinions, and us reaching out to you guys for your opinions as well. So it's great to have a really good family, but if you have a big family, it's also a lot of work too, just managing the family aspect of it. So I don't know if I would describe it as hard. It's just very new to us. Was Daxia your first startup?
Yes.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Not first legit startup. Yeah.
Yeah, first from the ground co-founder startup. Mm-hmm. And then I think most of you guys know Brenda and I used to work for the government, so various agencies. Mike's been more of a freewheeler.
I mean, I had a production company with 2 other business partners, which I guess was the same size, but that wasn't a startup in terms of it was we were service providers, basically. It was a small business. It's very different than what we're trying to do.
Yeah, trying to scale.
Yeah. How did the idea for Daxia come to you? Were you already looking to start a crypto-related business, or did you just have an epiphany out of the blue?
Yeah, no. So I was, this was back when I was working at the CFTC. So CFTC regulates derivatives and cryptocurrencies. And they end of 2015, they started a blockchain working group, which they were actually pretty early on.
Yeah, kudos to them.
Yeah, so I was mining Bitcoin, and at this point I was trading crypto. I was just doing market making stuff on the side, and like I, of course, like had to be in the blockchain working group. So I jumped on board there, and you had tons of companies come present to the CFTC like, hey, we're trying to do derivatives on cryptocurrencies. You know, we're gonna, it was derivatives on a blockchain. So like, you know, these were the likes of like R3, or you had the Quorum people, or the, if you remember Digital Asset, like they came and presented all the time talking to people. And you know, the CFTC still hasn't had any idea what cryptocurrency was at this time, or how any of it really worked. And so part of the exploration phase is they let me and a few other guys like play around with it a little bit. So they actually gave, like, I got like a laptop that they gave me that was like off the system. So like, you know, it wasn't allowed to touch any CFTC data, and I was just allowed to like run Ethereum nodes and try and break it. And it was pretty cool. And you know, I started realizing that, you know, they were building derivatives on a blockchain all wrong. Like using a blockchain as a database didn't really make any sense for me when it was run by one company. You know, the real, you could do a derivative on Ethereum without any of it. And so I coded that up while I was there. And I remember I drew up like little simple diagrams, and I showed them to like every lawyer that would talk to me there. Like, you know, what is this legally? Yeah.
Some of these old diagrams.
Some of the old diagrams, yeah. So it was, because the big question was like, so if you guys know, the big problem with derivatives, actually, it isn't technology even on crypto, it's actually just regulatory. So like in the US, that's why like B0X or synthetics, those are all illegal in the US because they're required to be regulated. And trying to find these regulatory loopholes, whether, you know, you're doing OTC swaps or you're doing, anyway, we don't need to get into the regulatory loopholes of derivatives, but it was basically like trying to find a way that you wouldn't be considered a clearinghouse in a futures exchange. So it was like just talking about those, and I thought I found a decent way, doing some stuff on Ethereum, and then 2017 the price of Ethereum went up. I was lucky enough that I had enough to leave my job and give it a go, and then like early in 2018 we got an Ethereum Foundation grant, so it like just kind of kept going from there. So that was the story.
Well, here's a sneak peek at not a sneak peek, but a reveal of the before Daxia days. It was the
I'm wearing the shirt too.
It was DDA, yeah, and that's, you'll see next. We all still have our DDA shirts, but here's one of our earliest materials that we took to like the first event we went to.
Yeah.
This is just embarrassing to show you guys, but this is who we were.
Yeah,
DDA.
I mean, you know, we thought tokenized derivatives were really cool back in 2017.
Yeah.
So, anyway.
But no one else did. At least at the events that we went to. We were, I don't know, maybe we were ahead of our time. Next question. Are you paying yourselves a salary yet from the dev fund? Yes.
Question? Yes.
So, I mean, the dev fund we use for all our business expenses, including our salaries.
Salaries, rent, and travel, that's basically the dev fund right now.
Yeah.
I think we're saving most of it though.
Yeah.
We're trying to stack up TRV. So, yeah.
How worried are you about fake it till you make it culture in crypto or in startups? I would say I'm worried about it at all. You see it all the time. And there, you know, I always struggle with where to implement that in my own life or in my own presentation in a communication I have with another customer, or in a business development conversation. And my experience with it has been that authenticity always yields better results. Especially if I get the sense that the person I'm talking with is more of a real person. And once that happens, it's like a weight is lifted off of both people's shoulders, and you can just be real with each other and get something done. When both people are just you know, if I'm acting fake it till you make it, the other guy's acting fake it till you make it, and it just becomes this weird too businessy type of conversation. So yeah, I mean, that's my philosophy. But at the same time, you want to make sure that you present yourselves with your best foot forward and those kind of things. It's not really faking it as it is just being, I don't know, not overly critical where you sort of talk down on yourself. So now in crypto, I see it's like there's a lot of fake it till you make it going on out there. And I think people are really sick of it. And so when I get in these conversations with people, sometimes they'll say like, it's really refreshing how authentic you guys are. You know, people are tired of that. They've been lied to enough. I don't know. Do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I think just with DeFi and coding in general, though, you want to be humble with some of the downfalls that you may have in your system. You know, we all saw it with you know, the B0X hack recently, and there's been plenty of other hacks. You know, just be careful with it all. You know, like it's always one of these things, like these are all systems that are like less than a year old. So make sure that, you know, if you're investing on DeFi protocols, if you're doing just almost anything on these networks, just be safe with it and realize that the technology is really new. So, you know, like there is an aspect of faking until you make it as far as seeming like you can do it, but then at the same time, like, you know, you have to make sure that you test it slowly and that you go through the right steps, because I think a lot of it, yeah, you know, that's always been the thing, like, is crypto ready for the big time? Like, could we handle, you know, trillions of dollars worth of value being put on these systems? And I don't even know if we're ready for that.
Yeah.
You really just have to kind of take your time growing and build it in the right ways, so that way, you know, you are testing it with small amounts of money, but people aren't losing their shirts.
What would you say are like the main things if you go to like a crypto website that like really sort of are the red flags of they're faking it they're just faking it, like they're fakers? Like one I'll say off the top of my head is like if they have like 50 team members or just a long list of faces, like, you know, they're just trying to show like, look how big our team is. And it's like a, you know, one of the old school tricks in the book.
Yeah, you have all your friends as your people,
or fake people. They're just faces and they don't really have a LinkedIn or.
Yeah, or, you know, or exchanges are super easy to read through. You know, it's like, you guys know who the biggest exchanges are, but then you look and they have like $500 billion worth of volume, and you're like, you know, this is all fake.
Or like, hey, we had a conversation one time. I'll put your face on my website. You put my face on your website, and we'll be able to build out our partners list.
Yeah, partners lists are awful in the space. It's you know, we don't need to name any names, but it's like, you know, we've been in these conversations where people are like, hey, you know, we'd love to do a partnership announcement with you, and it's like, what does that even mean? You know, and yeah, so it's just it looks good, but then at the same time, people are starting to read through it all.
Yep.
So
what can we learn from the Dogecoin regarding community building? We should have TellorCon.
Yes, I don't know.
We need to have a convention, a TellorCon convention. Someday we'll have TellorCon.
Yeah, I think on a serious note, though, what you can learn from Dogecoin or, you know, Bitcoin or any of these, it's, you know, it's sort of the idea that money it's all this subjective value. It holds, you know, kind of the meme or the belief of the community behind it, that's what drives it. So making sure that you have kind of a strong philosophical background, even if it is tied to something as goofy as like the meme of Doge, like having just so many people think it's funny and believe in it and buy the coin has like propelled it to massive success. And, you know, same with Bitcoin. Like, there's a million forks of Bitcoin. It's not the technology that makes it special. It's the fact that everybody believes this centralized idea. So that's,
yep.
Those are the special things that you have to realize about these communities. And that's what we want to build here.
Yeah, we don't have a mascot yet, or a dog mascot, but we can work on that. Any more news on mining pools? Hash rate and difficulty have been increasing.
No.
Who are your startup idols, role models? I probably wouldn't recommend having a startup person as a role model, honestly, because I don't, and I don't know. I wouldn't. My role models are anybody that can find success while staying true to themselves and having balance and having a family. When I see somebody that can sort of have it all like that, where they didn't sacrifice themselves and everything around them just to have the biggest business possible. And so that could be my neighbor, or that could be somebody that happens to have a startup. It could be my dad. I don't know. It could be anybody, but I don't have anybody specific. Sorry for the non-answer. Do you have anybody? Ron Paul.
Sort of a startup. No, I mean,
he's an upstart.
I think the book might be back there. So it might be at Brenda's house. The Peter Thiel. So he's like 0 to 1. That's like a famous startup book. I obviously like Peter Thiel. He's a big libertarian investor. Big investor, Seasteading Institute for, creating offshore nations. So he's just really cool. He has a lot of really good ideas. Some I agree with, some I disagree with. I like people, I like Elon Musk. He seems to be having fun with it, at least.
Okay, that's a good point.
You can tell
he has a good.
Yeah, I'd love to succeed to the point that fuck it, I'm going to Mars or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, no,
Joe Rogan. I'll throw Joe Rogan into he started that podcast, and
sure.
It's huge. And
but yeah, I mean, there's, as far as startup idols go, no idols, but I have a lot of mentors who kind of I rely on, and it's not even people who got crazy successful at startups. It's just people who give you honest, good feedback, and those are the people who kind of I respect their decisions.
Exactly. This has been talked about on the Telegram, but how will Tellor integrate with other chains? Will the supply burn and mint through bridges to enable interoperability between chains?
Very close. Maybe next week we can do a deep dive into the alternate chain structure.
That's probably a good idea.
But yeah, so basically, similar to how the one network we're looking at is Matic. So Matic's a plasma-based sidechain. You lock Tellor tokens into a smart contract, which mint them on Matic. So the 100 Tellor tokens locked in the smart contract on mainnet represent 100 minted tokens on the Matic network that you can trade around or use for staking or whatever. And then whenever you burn them on Matic, they're unlocked on the mainnet. You can go trade them around back here. So that's the basis of how it works, and that's kind of how all of the chains will work. So even Cosmos has built, right? I think they just released a token bridge from Ethereum, so you can do the same thing. You lock them on Ethereum, and then you unlock them on Cosmos, and burn them on Cosmos, unlock them on Ethereum. Very simple structures, but it enables quite a lot.
So this one's about BZX. 2 people asked a BZX Chainlink banned Oracle integration question. BZX announced that they're integrating with Chainlink and Band. Have we been in contact with them? And the other person asked a similar question, but Band was very aggressive in looking to work with them after their incident, whereas Tellor seemed more laid back in their approach. Do you guys plan on being more aggressive in acquiring potential partners? If so, and how?
So we'd love to be more aggressive. I mean, I think we're pretty aggressive talking to customers. When
we see a real fit.
If you find a project, let us know about them. A lot of you have pointed us towards projects that are, the smaller under the radar ones that are just getting started. We love those ones because we can really just start building into them. Even if it might be 6 months down the road that they're actually launched, those are the projects we're definitely looking for. But B0X, we've talked to Tom, CEO from B0X, several times. B0X has some requirements similar to Synthetics, where they require pretty quick Oracle updates, which we don't do. So it's more of a not really a design fit at the moment. Maybe in the future it will be. So that's, yeah. And from what I knew, you know, I think Band had been talking to B0X for a long time, so I don't think it was they reached out and implemented.
Yeah, it wasn't like,
Even-
oh, who tweeted them fastest. They've had a relationship with them for a while. So
even Chainlink as well. So they announced Chainlink like the day after the B0X hack, and which just seemed weird to me because, you know, if if you get hacked, you should do a lot more research than one day into various Oracle solutions. So I'd like to think that B0X had been talking to Chainlink for a long time, and this was just a good time to announce it.
Yeah,
at least that's what I'd like to think.
what do you think of keyless wallets? I don't have an opinion.
Yeah,
I'm not a user of them.
yeah, I mean,
Zengo.
some of them are cool. There's pros and cons to all of them. You know, it's just, I don't know. I think in the future, like, just start learning it, guys. Start being comfortable holding some, you know, start being
Holding your
comfortable doing
secrets.
some of this stuff. Yeah, learn how it works. You know, they're trying to make everything abstracted away and abstract away the user experience of crypto, but embrace the user experience of crypto. This is what makes it special. You know,
That's a really good point.
The more you abstract away and the more it looks like the real world, the less crypto it is. You know, you want if you rely on a front end to go access your funds, they're not your funds.
Next thing you know, they're going to abstract away the decentralization.
Exactly. So just make sure, embrace it.
Yeah.
So.
This is a wall of text. This person submitted 6 questions in one. I don't know if you're really abiding by the rules here. Let's try to ram through this. Does the Teller team have a timeline on when the Oracle will be able to handle more than 144 queries a day? I think this is part of V2.
I'd say V2.
Yeah, so it's V2. We're working on it, 6 months-ish. Since Teller can only provide data for 1 query every 10, doesn't that severely impact the usefulness of the Oracle? I mean, we've
talked about it before. Yeah. It does, but you know, you don't want to build things that require being really fast on chain.
Yeah. If the tips always favor ETH/USD, then contracts that need a different price feed might not be able to reliably know when they will be able to get an updated price.
Right now, you can tip it and you'll get it. You tip like one very small fraction of a TRB, and you can get up there. It's not expensive to get to the top of the query list. So you know, that's really not an issue, and it's also like it's the same model that Ethereum used. You know, like if you submit a transaction on Ethereum, paying say 50 cents in gas, it'll probably go through in the next 15 seconds. But if the network's really clogged, could take an hour. You know, there's been times during big ICOs, or if you guys remember the big CryptoKitties phase, like I remember trying to deploy a contract and it would sit and hang for hours. It's not the best user experience, but that's how it's built, and that's how it sort of stays secure, because it makes it hard to really just spam the network if you guarantee things. So.
Yeah, he says, so can one contract monopolize the tip feature? If one contract is really successful and makes a bunch of money using our price feed, then uses those profits to monopolize the tip feature.
I think a lot of it will come with, increasing the number that, so with V2 we'll have more,
and also more types of data and arrays.
Yeah, but this is like, the same argument could be said with Ethereum. Like, what if one user just was willing to pay all of the gas and fill up all of the blocks on Ethereum? Like, technically, yes, you can do that, but you would assume that it would be very expensive. And hopefully with Teller, it would be the same, that if you wanted to sort of monopolize every block, it would be expensive to do so, which is good. You want to, hopefully we have such demand that it's pricey to do so, and we're sort of the premium Oracle.
Does the Teller, there's a lot of these questions you asked are going to be addressed in our V2 document when we put out. He's talking about finality, one-day finality, the dispute changes, and things like that. These are all stuff. These are great questions, and all the stuff that we're looking to upgrade and improve with V2. So stay tuned.
Yeah.
We can't really
answer an essay.
Yeah, because we're still working on it. Let's see here. For now, staking $6,000. This is not good English here. Let me try to translate this. Okay, so for now, staking costs $6,000 approximately, which is fair. But if Tellor jumps to $500, then one stake is $500K. Will it be fair? We already addressed that. Hopefully, this is something that our community could upgrade and change as needed. Is blockchain primarily a B2B innovation? I don't think so. Bitcoin isn't B2B.
I like to think of it as a P2P innovation.
P2P. Yeah. No, I mean, seriously, it totally is.
Yeah, I think Ethereum, though, like I think we've talked about it before, the Ethereum network in general and what blockchains are going to be used for, it's going to be higher value things. It's going to be, you're going to minimize how much stuff you're going to put on chain just because it is expensive to use decentralized things.
Yeah.
So it's, if you think it's going to be used for trading shitcoins and micropayments, you're probably wrong. But so like the main chain Ethereum or the main Bitcoin will look more B2B, but at the same time, like more higher value would be the correct phrase.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be both. Nick, why were you an Austrian economist?
So Austrian
economics.
Austrian economics is sort of the free market economics. I got into it in college a little bit.
Along with other things.
Yes. No, I mean, probably similar to a lot of people. This was in like 2008. I started reading a lot of like Ron Paul came out with his End the Fed book and read Ayn Rand, and you read all of the classic libertarian novels. And then in 2009, I went and I did an internship with Peter Schiff, of all people. So this was well before crypto, but he was a big Austrian economist, and I got an bugged him and got an internship with him in his New York office, and I went and I did the Mises University. So I went down to Alabama for it was like a week in the summer, just kind of learning all about free market economics, and yeah, it was a good time. Because you realize, like, there's a lot to be said. It's a very sort of clean, principled view of things. I think a lot of times now I've realized that they can take it a little bit too far. Because if you talk to a lot of the Austrian economists, they're just straight up anarchists at this point. Because it's like the only thing because whenever you try and go down the route of having to logically put everything in place, then you're like, well, you can't have any government, because you can use the same arguments against more government that you can against even the smallest amount of government, such as a lot of them don't even believe in courts or don't believe in funding roads. They believe in privatized defense and privatized everything, and it's just like it's a world that doesn't make sense in my mind. So yeah.
Can you imagine a young, bright-eyed, fetching coffee for a Peter Schiff?
No, I worked for his brother. So
okay.
It was
well, that's not what I imagine.
You're
getting coffee.
Yes.
one lump or two. What is the uniqueness Tellor has that cannot be found in your competitors' projects? What are the strengths?
They're all just different designs. I think we've gone more towards the decentralization route, hopefully more of the security route. You have to look at, there's always different trade-offs, and if people aren't really open and honest about what the trade-offs are, that should be a red flag to you. There's no free lunch when it comes to kind of, I think, the basic scalability trilemma. Like, if going to be super fast and do every single data type and be on every single chain. Like, it's just not technically possible yet. So you have to be centralized. Or you could even, or if you wanted to be more flexible with things, like the certain kind of data types you're doing and with finality or different pieces like that then maybe you're going to be super slow, like say an auger. It's just a trade-off. But we decided we were going to limit the data types at first to being numerical only. We were going to provide limited pieces so we could do it faster than auger, but we wanted to maintain kind of the full decentralization spectrum, and we also didn't want to sort of marketize the whole thing with prediction markets or anything like that. So
yeah, I think we have a pretty unique blend of the practicality, the security and decentralization focus, and then the tokenomics all together. Like,
and it's not saying, there's arguments to be made for each one. You could say like whether it's a band or even like a chain link, maybe people want just reputation-based systems, or Witnet in the future. There's arguments to be made for each one, but the trade-offs are all sort of out there in the open. So understanding kind of what the trade-offs are for each one and what the negatives are, that's what needs to be more kind of apparent. So anyway, did I answer it?
You did. So, there's some more here. Will you try to do more marketing in Asian countries?
Yeah, doing the who.com thing.
Yeah. We're it's tough because we go on WeChat and you can't read anything in our Teller fan
club. We don't
club.
speak Asian.
So you really rely on you have to rely on these services that will manage all that for you, and it's tough. But we're slowly but surely we're going to do it organically. Do you like prediction markets? They're illegal in the United States.
I actually do not. I can give my quick opinion on prediction markets. I think so that's the big issue with prediction markets here in the US is that they are illegal. So they're a derivatives market. So they're probably going to be illegal for quite some time here in the US. But a lot of people, you see a lot of bold predictions from prediction market crowds, like if it's going to create tremendous pricing and knowledge efficiency is usually the argument that you can know a lot more and that it's going to create sort of better markets for everyone. And there's always liquidity problems on them, and the other thing is that we've had prediction markets, so prediction markets exist everywhere in the world already, and they're not this revolutionary thing. They're not making politics more efficient. They're not making betting more efficient. It's just another place to bet. And yeah, I just don't really see them sort of being the revolution that a lot of the people think that they will be.
Okay, so we got 10 more minutes and we have a call. So let's ramble through the last few. The dev share is great for incentives alignment, but does it provide any accountability or transparency regarding how the funds are spent?
So you guys can see how much we spend just by tracking the Maltese wallet. I think, right now there's not really a whole lot of transparency. Right now it's basically just kind of like we said before, travel, rent, and
just your basic business
salaries.
expenses.
Yeah, so we're not doing anything crazy with it, but yeah, hopefully maybe in the future we can do some more.
I mean, I could see an argument where if the dev share was a grotesque large sum,
yes,
you know what I mean, and we grew into this big organization where yes, things should all be transparent, and that way the governance of the community can sort of influence that for the betterment of the entire project. So if we got to that point, that sounds fantastic. Do you think having all those meme competitions makes Teller look less professional? Because without trying to be rude, it does seem a bit childish. I don't know. The only thing I know that we do is that
the meme of the month.
We do the meme of the month at the bottom of our daily updates. So if that's what you're referring to, I'm sorry if it looks unprofessional to you. I think we try to strike a balance of being obviously professional in all our professional endeavors, but when it comes to the community with you guys, there is a element of fun that happens in crypto, that happens in Telegram. We embrace it. That's part of our personality in the office itself. We have a lot of fun in here, and so we like to just take part in that. I don't think we want to take ourselves too seriously, where we always feel like we have to have a suit and tie on, metaphorically speaking, with everything. So I don't know, feedback accepted. If anybody else feels that way, we could get rid of the meme of the month. This is something that we were going to do just to throw a little.
Or you can post more memes in retaliation to the question.
Right. Exactly. Do this, man.
Yes.
Okay, next. How is Tellor better than Chainlink? We're just different. We're more decentralized. Sure. We've gone over that one a lot. If you have any, I'll be happy to answer that question directly. But we're running out of time here. What plan does the team have to mitigate the gas cost of Tellor?
No, it's a good. I think the biggest gas costs we have are the miner submissions, which there's not really a way to sort of mitigate that. Hopefully, maybe with V2 we can come up with ways to save them a little bit of gas. But gas on Ethereum, just submitting that many transactions to the network, is expensive. Obviously, when we go off chain and we provide like the alternate chain structure, that'll give some. If you're accessing data there, that'll be cheaper.
Sure.
But yeah, just anytime you're submitting that many transactions on Ethereum, it's going to be pricey. So
that's just the cost of business at this point.
Yeah, you hope that it goes. You hope that the economic value that you get out of it is more than gas costs.
Yeah. Is there a real tension between product guys and research guys in the space? I wouldn't say so. Maybe with
sometimes
I just would say there's maybe a level of disinterest between the two parties. Whereas, there's a different in like how you value spending your time.
Yeah, well, it's weird with so like research, like there's a whole lot of like, if you go on like ethresearch.com, it's like just really deep, low level stuff that's like sort of nobody, it's sort of very wonky, I would say.
Yeah.
And how there is this slight disconnect between, the amazing technology research that's going on and how you sort of monetize it. Because right now the product guys are the pieces that are getting monetized. What's making the most money in the space has nothing to do with the technology. It has to do with marketing and creating communities and creating
taking one piece of technology and making a big product out of it.
Yeah, making really fancy UX or something like that. So like there's all this research that is ultimately what drives the value to all of these networks, but the things that are making money have nothing to do with all of this research. Maybe a little bit to do with.
But the research guys are just staying, their heads in the sand. They don't come out and see the light for weeks or months or years. And the product guys are just like, guys, let's do something with this.
So you definitely want to see some connections, and hopefully we see more.
Yeah. What you need to have is somebody that's in between that can sort of take the best of both worlds and do something amazing with.
Yeah, and I think we'll start seeing more of it as like it gets less profitable to just be awful product guy.
Yeah. That's it.
So
cool.
Thanks everyone for coming. We gained and lost several people throughout the whole call, so it was a nice long one.
Thanks for sticking around, those of you that did.
Hope you enjoyed. Feel free to join us next week. It will be the tech call. So we'll be kind of doing a little whiteboard session here, but we won't do any questions.
Yeah, there's no AMA associated with that. That's just, it'll be an educational type of call.
Yeah, but feel free to ask us anything all the time on Telegram.
Right,
so
every day is an AMA in the Telegram.
So anyway, see you guys next week.
Cheers.